Get started, then we're going to have a PowerPoint in a few minutes as soon as it arrives here. Let me introduce Samantha, Lauren, and Ashley, who are three sisters and daughters of Thomas Boggs, who started Huey's. And you've all been in Huey's. We've all been in Huey's. And I'm not going to steal any more of their thunder. They're going to tell you what they do, who they are, why they are successful. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So I'm Lauren McHugh Robinson, and I'm president and CEO of Huey's, and I've been with Huey's since 1993. I actually graduated from here and got my MBA from here. I went to work for a bank, and I did that for about 6 years before I came back to Huey's. And I've been here ever since.
I'm Samantha. I handle our marketing and our advertising, special projects, stuff like that. I actually graduated from Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, and I majored in communications, public relations, and I minored in business and speech. And I've been doing the advertising for probably a little over 12 years. No, probably 15 years. So that's what I do.
She was the general manager for us also before she went part-time when she had the kids. So she's basically done it all.
Yes.
We all have.
Yeah. I'm Ashley Boggs Rabilio, and I went to Alabama, and I graduated in restaurant and hospitality management. Came back here and immediately started working for Huey's. I traveled a little bit and then went through my dad's training program, which was not really a training program, but anyway. And then I opened up the second Huey's. It was called Huey's East at the time. It's not there anymore. This was in 1991. Y'all probably weren't even born yet. So then we opened up Huey's Cordova next, and that's when Lauren came in. And then I was a general manager, Lauren was a general manager, and then we were both promoted, and now I'm COO, and Lauren is CEO and president. I don't know if she said that. So we have 9 locations now. We have a general manager, a kitchen manager, and assistant managers at every location. And then of course we have servers, bartenders, food runners, cooks, prep cooks, and to-go attendants.
And a bookkeeper.
And bookkeepers at each location, and then of course to-go attendants at the locations that have them.
You want to see if it's pulled up?
Yeah. Do you want to, if the new one has.
It wasn't there when I just looked.
Okay, you can go to the old one then.
You sure?
Yeah, it's no big deal.
It's still not here.
Okay, well, you wanna
Just go to that old one.
All right, sorry. Weird.
So we're just gonna go through a prepared slideshow, but if y'all have any questions, just raise your hand. This is very informal. So if something's not clear, or y'all wanna ask something, just do so.
Uh-oh.
I saw it.
Here, Asher, take a look at this, man. There's the email they sent me. There was a file attached.
Told us on the first day that we would eat our shorts. I don't know what that means. Haven't figured it out yet.
That's an old expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be like older than 50 to know what that means.
It would have been the first email they sent me.
Did you find it, Chris?
There it is. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want me to?
Now we probably are gonna have to do it manually without a clicker.
Okay, right there? Just the arrow?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our logo. If you're not familiar with Huey's, Blues, Brews, and Burgers. And then I think we kind of went over this with you. Family owned, 30.8 million in sales in 2018. That's with all the 9 stores. We have 600 employees, 9 units. We're considered casual dining. We're open late. Usually, I think out of the 9 stores, at least 6 of them are open till at least 3. Kitchen closes at 2. Collierville, Germantown, they usually close a little earlier. I think their kitchen closes at midnight, something like that. Okay, live music on Sunday nights at all the 9 stores.
And it's free.
And it's free.
And it's always been free. And we used to do afternoon music, and now we just do it night music, except for 2 locations. I think the music starts at 8:30.
And it's good music.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to get really big headliner names.
All right. Okay, so out of all of our sales, 84% of our sales is food, and then 16% is alcohol. So you can see that most of what we do is food. Our locations, we have 9. I mean, Ashley, is there a way you can scroll down?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. All right, our busiest store out of the 9 is Huey's Poplar on Poplar. And then usually the second one is Germantown.
And then Millington, the one that was at the top, I won't go back, that is the newest one we've opened up.
All right, and this is, if you're not familiar with Huey's, we're known for the toothpicks in the ceiling, the red and white tablecloths, the graffiti. You're able to write on the wall, on the graffiti wall. Just real casual, fun place to eat.
There's the graffiti.
So this is just a little bit of history. Huey's was founded in 1970. My father actually was not the one that started it. He actually came into the business in 1977 and bought into it. And then we opened Huey's East in 1991, Cordova in 94, Downtown 96. In 1999, we opened Collierville, and I actually opened Huey's Collierville. 2000, we opened South Haven. And then in 2003, we closed Huey's East, which was the one that Ashley had opened. 2003, we opened Southwind. 2003, the end of 2003, we opened Poplar. Is that right? And then in 2014, we opened Germantown, and then Millington, we opened in 2017. So we work at, Lauren and Ashley and I work out of the what we call the home office, and it's called Uncle Donald's Restaurants. And then this just kind of gives you a breakdown of the restaurants, and that they're all LLCs. Is there any other thing you want to say about that? Okay. One of the things that we're really proud of is the fact that we do win Best Burger in most of the reader polls, in the Memphis Magazine, the Flower, the Millington, Commercial Appeal, Millington newspaper, and DeSoto Times. So you can see we've won Best Burger since 1984 in Memphis Magazine and the Flyer. And then we've also gotten Best Fries, Best Lunch, Best Service, Best Kid-Friendly Dining, Best Late Night Dining, Best Locally Owned Restaurant, Best Neighborhood Bar, and Best Local Sports Bar. So we're very proud of that. Okay, our key players, and when do y'all want to take over?
I think it's
Is it your turn, Ash?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay, and I'll.
Our key players, they're basically listed up there, and we've already gone through. Oh, I can do both.
You sure?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
We already talked about Lauren, President and CEO. I'm COO. Steve Voss is our Vice President of Operations. He also graduated from the University of Memphis, and then he went on to get in the restaurant business in Indiana. He actually worked his way up to area manager at the Cooker. Some of you are maybe too young to know the Cooker, but it was a really, really hot, very successful chain back in the 90s. And we actually had 2 or 3 in Memphis, if I recall correctly. But anyway, he moved up there, moved back to Memphis to be closer to his family. And then he joined us. He ended up taking over Huey's East when I left Huey's East to go be the general manager at Huey's Downtown. So he has now been with us 18 years, and he has moved up to Vice President of Operations. Charlene Mitchell is our Human Resource Manager. Jay Fight is our Controller. Neil Johnson is our operations supports and analytic manager. He's like our IT guy. Samantha Dean, you've already met her. George Silverman is one of our consultants, and then Bob Payne and Blanchard Toole are our CPA and our attorneys that we use. So again, the chain of command with our stores: Lauren is CEO, Ashley COO, Steve Vice President of Operations. And then just recently we have promoted 2 of our general managers, Hollis and Jimmy, to be an area manager. So they manage their own store, and then they also manage another location for us. So they only have one, but area managers typically have more than one, but at this point they just have one. So it's a little bit skewy. This is not a perfect looking chain of command. I don't know if y'all have gotten into this yet, but this is a little bit interesting. There's a little bit of crossover. But that's the way we roll, so it's fine. So that's our chain of command for the most part. Again, the home office, again, the chain of command, Lauren would be up here, then me, Steve, and Retha is her assistant. I also have an assistant, Stephanie, on the end. Stephanie is also the person that handles all of our vendor issues. So if we have something wrong with our cheese sticks or french fries or dumpsters, anything like that, Stephanie is the one that handles that. She would be the one to contact all the locations, tell me how your cheese sticks look, or you have any problems with your hamburger buns. She collects the information, gets it back to me, and then Lauren, Steve, or I will make the decision on what to do. Sometimes we start buying from another location, sometimes we have to 86 it, whatever the case may be, but that's what she does. Then everybody else we've kind of talked about. Jay also has 2 assistants, bookkeeper here, bookkeeper there. One of them specializes in payroll. So you can imagine with 600 employees, we have a lot of payroll to deal with. Probably takes her most of the day, one of the full days to do payroll for all of us. And then we send it off to CertaPay, and then they execute the checks, and then we get them about a week later. We get paid every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday, all of us. So here's just a picture of what a busy night looks for us. Customer base is families, young adults, business people, and adults at 1875, and tourists. Tourists are really, really big for our downtown location. I can tell you I was there for 8 years, but we get much busier in the summer, much busier like right now for spring break. Families are also important to us. Families are very, very crucial to the Collierville location and the Germantown location. Midtown and Poplar, I guess, would say have some of the younger folks that come in. That's probably the ones y'all visit, if I had to guess, y'all that go to them. So, business people, just lunches, nothing huge there. Cost structure, so on the left side is how we control costs. Not all restaurants do this. We highly recommend it. But we do a weekly inventory where we count all of our liquor, beer, wine, and food 4 times a month. So we always do it on the first of the month, whenever that is, and then 3 more times on a Monday. So it's not always a perfect 7-day mix. Sometimes it's 8 days, then 7, and then 5, or whatever the breakdown is. But we literally will get our cost of goods sold that same day. We will know exactly what it is. We will get our numbers, we will have our sales, our revenue. We will generate the weekly P&L at all of our locations. They send that to the home office. Some of the people that we mentioned earlier, Melinda and Jay, me and Steve, will look it over. And then at the end of the month, we will have a final P&L at all the locations. At the end of the day, Lauren is the last to look those over. And then we meet with all of our managers and we go over the P&Ls. And at that point, it's no surprise. But they would literally know which area they needed to work in. Is their labor high? Do you have too many cooks on? Do you have too many bartenders on? Is your food cost high? Are your repair and maintenance high? Whatever it is. But we'll have a pretty good idea of what to correct, or what hopefully to correct in the future. Quarterly budgets are done by Lauren. Lauren and Jay work on those, and what those are is she lets the stores know in advance what they are budgeted for the quarter. Are y'all familiar with these terms that I'm using? Okay, so she will know, they will all know, the general managers will all know in advance what they're expected to do in January, February, and March. So it's no surprise. If you're missing $20,000 in revenue, you're gonna know it. But the budgets are done by Lauren and sent to everybody. We also have an ideal food and alcohol cost. Ideal food and alcohol, do y'all know what that term is? So ideal food is, in a perfect world, if we sold a cheeseburger and we knew it cost us exactly $1.82 for that cheeseburger, the perfect amount of mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, mustard, pickle, onion, burger and cheese, and the hamburger bun, and we sold it for $3.50, that would be a perfect food cost, and we would know, for example, that that would be a 28% food cost. Well, if we've dropped some burgers, if we've burned some french fries, if we've had to throw out some mayonnaise, then that's going to skew your food costs. So you get an ideal cost plus usually some type of variance. And ours is 0.8. And some restaurants are 1, some restaurants are 2, but we allow a 0.8. So this is just another breakdown of our costs. The COGS are what we just talked about. That is the cost of goods sold for food, liquor, beer, and wine. Our labor, of course, is going to come in there. That's the second highest thing that we pay for. The benefits are going to be like health insurance and 401k. Operating expenses are going to be things like your linen expense, your dumpster expense,
Repair and maintenance.
repair and maintenance, heat and air. Admin are going to be obviously some of your bookkeeping expenses, your office supplies. Marketing is your marketing and advertising. And then your fixed expenses are going to be things like your rent that you cannot control. No matter what you do, busy or slow, your rent is going to be the same. So that's a fixed expense. Lauren, I'm not looking at this anymore. Is it your turn
Yeah.
yet?
Okay, so, how we're considered as far as our value goes. How we bundle our products as far as burgers, sandwiches, salads, and munchies. We try to have a really diversified menu. We've got a heart-healthy menu. We offer seafood. We offer salads. So if you're not wanting to do a burger and fries or something that's a little bit more fattening, then you have other options. We really try to focus on providing friendly, fast service with fresh, delicious food. We talk a lot to our staff about a sense of urgency, the amount of time we want you to greet a table, the amount of time we want you to get their drink order, the amount of time for the food to come out, and we monitor that on a regular basis. Competitive pricing, we try to set our menu prices at lower than our competitors, but above fast food, which is getting harder and harder to do because people are getting so competitive. You've seen Applebee's and Chili's doing you get an appetizer and 2 entrees and a dessert for $25 and those kinds of things. So it's real hard for us to compete with that. But how we're different is we really buy fresh, quality food. We have really good cheese, for example. A lot of times with places that, I'm not going to name names, but their cheese just tastes like nothing. It tastes like plastic with no flavor. So we buy really good cheddar cheese, for example. We buy the best certified Angus beef for our hamburgers. We spend more money on that because we want our food to really taste good and to be proud of it. And then we're really kid friendly. Kids come in and make a mess all the time, and the parents will be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my child made such a mess." We're like, "We're fine, you know, it's good. That's why you go out to eat, so you don't have to clean that up." We feel like our competitive advantages are our pricing, our unique atmosphere, our food quality. We have a lot of long-term employees. We've got many people that have been with us 25, 20, 15, 10 years. We have very low turnover, which for the restaurant industry is extremely rare. Our turnover rate for last year was 40%, which is a little bit higher than what we would like for it to be. But the national average for restaurants is 90% on best case scenario. So we feel like we're doing better with that. And then we really try to be involved with the community. We do a lot of community outreach. We do a lot of volunteering. We're involved in many different events. I think we have another slide on that. Okay, so our strengths, because of being local and family owned, a lot of people choose not to go with the chain and they try to go somewhere local. So we feel like that's a strength of ours. How long we've been in business, over 40 years, food quality, recipes, community involvement, our service awards. We have very little debt. We're very conservative. If you noticed, our restaurants, we opened them 2 and 3 and 4 years apart, and we did that so that we could be very financially stable and that we would not have a lot of debt. We try to pay for our new restaurants with money that we've saved and borrow as little as what we can. And then we have really great advisors. So there's a lot of things we don't know, and we call on those people to help us. Challenges, right now, one of our biggest challenges is staffing, in particular the kitchen side. We do have a minimum wage in our kitchen of $12 an hour. So no one comes in and works at Huey's for less than $12 an hour. And it's very, very competitive. And there's lots of restaurants that are trying to get the same people. Changing technology. Phasing in the EMV chip reader for credit cards has really been a challenge for us. So you've been to restaurants and stores where they're swiping still. And eventually, by law, everyone is going to have to be using chip readers. So we're getting to that point, which means we've got to change our technology to do that, and it's a lot more expensive.
It's a lot slower.
Yeah, it is. Cannibalism in the market, what we mean by that is we've got 9 locations, and we're getting to a point where we're running out of places to put Huey's in the Memphis area. Upgrading our point of sale system, we are in the midst of that right now. We are about to roll out our 2nd store on a new POS system, and by the end of this year, all the stores will be no longer on micros, and instead they will be on a system called One POS. And then there's just growing pains with getting bigger. Samantha?
All right. Okay. Opportunities where we feel like we can be better than others is obviously giving back to the community, which is very important to us. We know that there's an area for us to always strengthen our brand. We need to always be trying to be the best that we can be, type thing. Our social media girl, the girl that works with me, really tries to stay on top of social media and kind of always try to look for what's going on, what's hot, what's big, so that we can try to do that as well.
And she's the one that also checks all of our accounts where feedback comes in.
We get
And so
complaints.
we are very good about staying on top of that, especially compared to some other restaurants. But once or twice a week, she'll go on Yelp and what are some of the other
Google,
ones?
and then
Of course,
TripAdvisor.
and then they come straight to us. So she'll do all that, and then she will shoot those comments, and some of them are 4 stars, 3 stars, 5 stars, whatever. She'll shoot them to each of the locations, and she will say to the general manager, "Hey, John, you need to reach out to her. She's upset." Or, "Hey, John, can you call this customer back?" So I believe that is one of our strengths too, that we are actually still contacting you and getting back to you, especially if you had a complaint. Because as you may or may not know, sometimes you don't hear back from anybody after you've gone online and placed a complaint.
Expansion, we pretty much know we could probably go anywhere and be successful, or at least we'd like to think that. But it's just the idea of not really having our thumb on it if we were to go out of the city, if we were to go out of the Memphis area. especially if we were to go to Nashville or something like that. But we certainly know that there's room for growth there, and but it's just the challenge of us finding the right people to handle that. So the other thing that we're very proud of is that we have a succession plan. We know where we're going. We know who is going to be taking over when Lauren will retire. So,
But we're still working on that plan.
yeah, we are.
That's all we know, that Lauren's gonna retire.
Someday.
Yeah. All right.
Can I, Samantha, can I ask a question?
Sure.
That previous screen on the
Let go of
expansion,
that. Or what?
Yeah,
right there,
Was that it?
right there. You
Mhm.
mentioned Nashville, and of course you could mention Little Rock, you could mention Jackson, Mississippi, or whatever. We all know that Memphis is a fairly low cost of living town. So your real estate costs are usually a little less money. And we all know that Nashville's kind of hot, more expensive real estate, and you would have to increase your prices.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of counterintuitive to your plan.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris. Yeah, at this point in time, we probably wouldn't choose a Nashville because of that reason.
Yeah.
But we thought that if we do expand out of town, that we would plan to open at least 3 units for it to be cost effective for us, so that we would have an area manager there that's able to oversee all 3 of them. Yeah.
Do you feel like opening up a store someplace like, say, Nashville or Jackson would take away from the local feel of Huey's?
I mean, that's always in the back of your mind. We feel like it would probably work in other cities. We feel like it's a good concept, but who knows? I mean, part of what makes this work is that if you've been to one Huey's, they're consistent, and you know that you can go to another one and it'll be the same experience. Well, people in another city don't necessarily know that. So that would definitely be a challenge. That's a great question.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah. Or Ashley, you want to jump in?
Sure. So our threats, rising food and commodity pricing, we talked about that a little bit when we talked about our food costs just now, and Lauren saying that we were trying to, keep our costs under. The food and the commodity pricing keeps going up. However, we can't keep raising our prices every time food goes up. So we get stuck in a spot, for the most part. But one of the things we do get that other locations don't is we have buying power. So you have some of these mom and pop locations that just have one location. They're not going to get the same deals that we get. So US Foods and Cisco and PFG, you've seen their trucks, or y'all know who they are. Because we have 9 locations, they will come to us with better pricing. So we actually do have that for us. Right now, Coca-Cola, for example, is wanting to renew their contract with us. And I'm the one that handles that with Stephanie. Well, Pepsi has also set up a meeting. Well, Pepsi wants the contract. Well, Pepsi typically will offer you a lot less money. So you're like, okay, well, what do you do
They
there?
offer you more money as a signing bonus, but better pricing.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, much cheaper to go with Pepsi, but that doesn't mean we will. So anyway, yes, food and commodity pricing are going up, but yes, we also probably get really good pricing for the city. Rising cost of disposables, the economy, increase in popularity of burger brands and gourmet burger concepts. That's probably our biggest threat, and y'all all know that. Probably in the last 10 years, if I had to guess, we've probably had 5 to 10 burger concepts open up. And so, of course, that makes it harder for us. What we believe is people go out and try it, and then typically, hopefully, our regular customers come back. Part of that is because our pricing is lower. I have been to Hop Dottie. It is a very good burger. I've been to Elbow. We have been to all these great places. Belly Acres had a very good burger, but it's just super expensive. And so typically, kids on a budget or families that are on a budget, That's why they'll come back to us. Huey's Restaurants, this is a,
Life cycle.
this is a cycle, what y'all may or may not have seen yet, but it's basically what a lot of businesses go through, not just restaurants, but this is just called a life cycle of a business. There's obviously the courtship, infant stage, go-go, adolescent, prime, late prime, and this is when you start declining. And there are a lot of different companies and a lot of different stages here. We personally believe that we are in our prime. Now, how long we're going to stay there, you never know, but that's where we think we are. The organization is growing and it's still very profitable. New infants are spun off, that means new locations. Success may breed complacency. Measurements focus on present value of past decisions and inadequate bench strength. So those are basically the characteristics of the prime, and that's where we think we are.
Well, actually, if you don't mind me adding to that, when eating food goes out of business or goes out of style, then maybe you folks have a problem.
Yeah.
But until that happens, I think you've got the right mix.
Thank you. Yes, that's true. It's not like our company is going to get bought out or, become even unimportant anymore because everybody's always still going to want to eat. So our future locations, Olive Branch, you want to talk about that? We were set to open in spring of 2019, and there's been a little bit of a snafu there. 2020, I'm sorry, 2020. And there's been a little snafu there, so that actually may not happen right now. Another area that we're interested in is Huey's Arlington and the Lakeland area. We've also looked at Jackson, Tennessee, Huey's Oxford, and also Huey's Bartlett. Those would be the biggest ones on our radar right now. That's it.
Questions for these next people? And they do have some questions.
How do y'all get all the toothpicks down?
Oh, great
What are you
question.
doing?
So one of the things that we talked about that we love to donate to is the Memphis Zoo. So way back when, probably in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, my dad had a regular that used to come in all the time, and people used to blow their frill picks up in the ceiling. We have acoustic tile seasoning where it ceiling where it will stick. And Dad used to get so mad, and he literally used to come through with the broom and knock them all down. Well, his good friend at the time, Craig Love, said, Thomas, why don't you leave them up there? Why don't you have a contest to see how many frill picks are in the ceiling, and then donate all the money to the Memphis Zoo? So that is how it started. So once a year now, all the locations have a contest. You're charged $1 for each guest. And we used to count them, but now we do weigh them. So we brush them all off with a broom, we put them in a big old, basically a trash bag, and then we weigh them. And there are 3 winners every year. You get a $100 gift certificate, $75 and $25 gift certificates. And actually the server that sells the winning guests also gets $25. And then the server and the bartender that sell the most guesses get $50. So there's an incentive for them to sell to make money for the Memphis Zoo. But this last year alone, we wrote the Memphis Zoo a check for
For the frill pick, like $12,000.
Yeah. So $12,000 for all 9 locations is what we gave. Well, actually, it's only 8 locations because South Haven gives their money to the Palmer House. The Palmer House in South Haven, since they're not in Memphis.
But since we've started doing it, we have raised over $100,000 for the zoo. So,
And Daddy was on the board, so that's how his love for the Memphis Zoo started. He was actually on the board when they brought the pandas over. So we actually got to be there the first day the pandas were brought in. So that's how, did that answer that?
Yeah.
How do you get them down? Is that all you really wanted to know? And I went into all that other stuff? That's what I do.
I didn't know y'all did, the donation, but I knew you weighed them though.
Yeah.
Did y'all weigh them at the zoo? Is that?
No. We weigh them in the restaurants.
Oh, okay.
No. We just give a check to the zoo. That's all they do.
Do you guys face any struggles with being women in the industry? Because it's very male dominated most of the time. Do you guys struggle with that a lot?
You know, I think because we've been in it for so long, we don't. But I remember in the early years, like men referring to you as honey or sweetie, and that was very commonplace. Sexual harassment and things like that were a lot more commonplace in our industry 15, 20 years ago than they are now. And I think we're particularly, because it's 3 strong women, that we're particularly unaccepting of that kind of behavior, and we expect people to be professional. You know, so I don't really see it as an issue. Do y'all?
Well, you know, I think, especially when I was a general manager in the 90s, and I was 23 years old, which is very young to be a general manager. You know, men would call on you, you know, for any reason. Look at my soap, look at my liner basket, look at whatever. And, you know, they'd ask for the general manager, and I'd become, you know, I'd walk out and they're like, no, we wanted to see the general manager. I'm like, uh-huh. And that happened all the time. It was just, you know, the old school days, the old boys. But the other thing is, Dad, our father, was very, very big on making sure we did not let men walk all over us. And not just in business, in our personal lives too. He was like, you are not you are always going to be able to take care of yourself, pay your own way. You are never going to be dependent on a man. And that's basically how we grew up. So for us to eventually get in the business as women, it wasn't that far of a reach, because that is the way our parents treated us, our mom also. But that's a really good question.
On a lighter side of the same coin, do you see any opportunities being women in such a growing business that maybe men might never get to see? Some opportunities that like only present.
You mean because we're sensitive?
No. I'm talking about like.
Or because we can see things? Yes.
Things like benefits to being women in a hospitality-driven industry. Things that men might just overlook.
Well, without sounding stereotypic, I will say that I feel like a lot of times women are very detail-oriented. And not to say men aren't, but you know, that could be a benefit, I guess, to your question.
And I was joking, but I was serious about being the sensitive and or a little bit more empathetic.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there is a little bit of truth there. We tend to be more caring, more empathetic, but I'm not saying that's always the case. But yeah, and like I said, we can look for things and find them. I was not kidding about that either.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to back you ladies into a corner.
You did it. You did it. You.
Have you guys thought of moving towards like other sorts of food, like vegan items, like in certain areas, considering vegan is one of the
We do. We actually just implemented the Beyond Burger. So there are 2 big plant-based burgers out right now. One is called the Impossible, one is called Beyond. And we actually have the Beyond Burger at Huey's.
And it's completely vegan with a vegan mayonnaise, 100%. You don't have to do
Vegan cheese, and then also we already had a black bean burger, and then we have a veggie burger. So we've had those for a while.
Do y'all think it's more of an advantage being a family-oriented business than like compared to like just like working with strangers?
Yeah. We love working together. We're very close. We just got back from vacation together. We work together all the time. We hang out together. We exercise together. That's not true of a lot of family businesses. A lot of people butt heads or don't get along, but we've always really gotten along really well. But to your question, I feel like it's a benefit because we know each other so well and we trust each other. And when you have family, you can trust them most of the time. Or we can.
Does it help with your business?
I believe it does. Yeah, I think it helps.
I think what is great about us is that we all do different things, and we're all good at different things. So Lauren is really good with numbers. Ashley is just really good about keeping everybody on their toes, as you can probably tell. And I'm really good in marketing and advertising and stuff like that. So we all know each other's role and we respect that about each other. So I think that's real important too.
Yeah, different strengths
Yeah.
that complement.
Before we go, and we have a few more minutes, let's talk job recruiting.
Yeah,
I would assume you folks have you mentioned kitchen help.
yeah.
I'm sure there's some other positions that you're looking for.
So, we are always talking to and interviewing. We try to stay ahead of that. We might not need a manager right now, but if a good candidate comes across my desk, I'm gonna go ahead and interview them. I'm gonna talk to them. I might even go ahead and hire them, just because I don't wanna lose them. Because, wow, this is a great looking resume. This looks really good. I think we should go ahead and hire this person. We've got about 40 managers, and we usually lose about 3 a year for whatever reason. They've gone and decided to do a different vocation. They're just not working out. Maybe they decided to stay home or retire. I mean, there's other reasons, but we know we're gonna lose 3 people a year. So just keeping that in mind, we continuously try to hire and interview. As far as other recruiting things that we do, we offer a retainer bonus. If someone recommends a new cook, for example, and they're with us at least 6 months, we give them a $300 bonus to the person that recommended them. So if you're an existing employee and you can help us recruit, then you're gonna get cash for that, which is a pretty easy thing to do. Just tell your friends about us, and if they work out, then you're gonna get money for that.
And of course, you've got a great reputation. Your staff, your employees stick with you. You mentioned some of the folks have been there for a long time. But at the same time, you still need servers, you need bartenders. Things happen, people move.
Yeah, people graduate. A lot of people work in restaurants when they're in college and they wait tables and bartend. Y'all probably, some of you may do that or know people that do it. And once they graduate and get a real job, they go on out into the real world, then we lose some really good people because of that.
And you post positions on your website.
We do,
And I know you had an HR person on your org chart.
yeah. And so you can also apply online. So if you're interested in working at Huey's, you can go onto our website and there's a way to apply online.
Or if there's a particular location you know you would like, you could always just email or call that location or talk to that general manager.
Or go in and ask for an application and turn it back in there.
Yeah, a lot of our locations are hiring right now. If anybody needs a job.
What else do we have for these nice ladies? Any other questions, concerns,
I feel like somebody
observations?
had their hand up back there that we didn't get to. Did we get to everybody? Okay.
What would you recommend to somebody who's straight out of hospitality manager, like get to the general manager position or operations position?
What would I recommend for that person?
Yeah.
You would probably have to do just about what we did. You would probably start at the bottom with waiting tables and/or, we didn't really talk about that, but all of us started in the kitchen. All of us actually started prepping in the kitchen when we were like 12, 13, 14 years old. And then we became bussers, and then we became servers, bartenders, bookkeepers, and then we just continued to work our way up. So you would definitely need some of that experience if you were wanting to get in the restaurant business. So if I were you, I would go ahead and try to get a job as a host or a hostess or server, bartender, prep cook, and then you just work your way up. You know, our managers, and we see almost immediately if someone's got the drive and if somebody's got the skill set to move up. We love promoting from within. We would rather promote a bartender to manager than have a complete stranger walk in our door. Obviously, they already know our rules, they already know our policies, our family, how we do things. I mean, it's much better for us to promote from within. So we love that. We probably promote from within 2 or 3 times a year, something like that. Sometimes you're just promoted from a waitress to a bartender, sometimes you're promoted from a cook to a server. So it just depends on the location. And sometimes you just get lucky. I mean, sometimes we don't usually promote food runners to servers quickly, but if our servers just walked out the door and we need a server, well, we're gonna go ahead and promote you. So some of it's luck, but otherwise it's just having a plan.
I'm a server right now.
Okay.
I'm serving now.
Okay.
So I would not hire someone as a manager who had never managed before. So if you came to me as a server and said, I'm gonna be graduating in a couple of years, I'd like to wait tables with you, and then when I graduate, I'd like to move into management, we would absolutely consider that. And one of our general managers right now is a 30-year-old female who came to us, who'd never been a manager, she'd been a bartender, and she really wanted management. She interviewed for it, and we said, you're not ready, but if you really wanna, work here, then show your commitment. So she did. She came in as a server. Within a few months, she became the head server. Within a few months after that, she became the bartender. She came back to me a year later and she said, Lauren, how am I doing? I said, you're doing great. She said, can I talk to you now about management? And we ended up hiring her as an assistant manager. And within 2 or 3 years, she became a general manager. And she was the youngest GM besides Ashley that we've ever had in the company. And she's doing great. So, you just need someone to see your work ethic, see that you're dependable, see that you're smart and that you want to learn and you want to grow, and you can absolutely move up.
What else? Anything else? Let's hear for these ladies. I'll take your homework.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh.
Thank